What is going on, guys? Top Genji here. I got another matchup for you for Monday Modern, playing against some Amulet Titan. Here we go. Doing some poker to figure it out. So he has got two ones, double ones with a high of six, and I have two fives and two threes. So um, I will be on the play this game. This matchup is very close. I think I'm favored as long as I can kind of like if they don't have like the busted start. But I have pretty good hate for the matchup. Um, so I can at least slow them down enough for me to like my big card, which is Elishnorn. They really need Otawara. If they don't win after bouncing Elishnorn, back into my hand, then it's pretty hard for them to like get into the game. So and plus Elish Norn is just like accelerates my win con to a really high amount. So it's a pretty sweet card in this matchup. So this matchup is probably going to be heavily favored. Um, but we'll see. I've played this matchup two or three times now, and it's been pretty close. So, um, there was something else I wanted to say, and I feel like I forgot. I had remembered it, but gone out of out of my brain now. Yeah, I think their biggest start is gonna be the whole turn one amulet, turn two amulet, and just kind of like kill me. Winning on turn two amulet is a thing. So um, this is a gentleman who is fairly new to amulet. So the other guy that I played has a lot of experience with it, but he's fairly new and been liking the deck. He actually borrowed my deck. Didn't have Green Sun Zenith, but we just proxied him for one of the events. They allowed it. Just a local FNM, nothing crazy. Um, so he could just try it out, and he liked it, and he went and bought the deck and finished it. So he's now rocking it. It's a good deck in the meta right now. So, um, I'm just looking at his hand, and like I feel like the last hand was keepable. I don't know why he got rid of it. Like keeping a Boreal Grazer in Titan is like a really good card to kind of get things going. So let's see. He also has a Shifting Woodland. I don't know what he's gonna do with his hand, but I'd rather play Shifting Woodland than let my opponent know that I have a Beseiju as well. That's just something to note. If you're watching this, if I remember his name correctly, it's Gabe. I believe so. So, so turn one for me, I get a Hedge Maze, Surveil. I kept the card on top. Then we get a Wall of Roots here um, to try to get my clock going up. My opponent for his turn, he just plays a Simic Growth Chamber, bounces, and gets that going. So I don't have much going on, but I do have a Chord of Calling, and I kind of want to ramp my Chord of Calling ability. So um, I'm gonna get that going, and then from here, now that I'm getting my tokens and everything, I really just like I think my mindset was in this matchup was to literally just get Elishnorn out and just go crazy. So I want to maximize on getting as many tokens as possible. I knew this turn I wanted to Besage you just to slow him down, because then I just stay ahead. So I think next turn if I play fetch land, I just go get to get Elishnorn. So I think my two worst cards to possibly draw in this deck are my Craterhoof Behemoth and my Elish Lord. Unless I can ramp there, like this turn I could play it. So what did I draw? Looks like another land. So I think this is where I was determining, what I could do, and then figuring it out. So I was like, oh wait, I don't need to fetch here, which I think is smart, not having to fetch. But this will be chord for equals 5. And the main reason to not fetch yet is Oh, there it goes. Hey, here we go. Okay. I was like, uh-oh. So, as you can see, this is like, I think just almost impossible for them to get through this. So, I mean, at this point, I'm just going to go wide, and then I get to surveil twice, and then I'm going to look, and I'm going to leave it on top. And, I mean, I think he already sees the writing on the wall. As soon as the grazer came down, he, uh, realized when he couldn't put a land into play, he was like, yep, I think this is over. So, Risen Reef trigger, I get 2 triggers. Double Landfall trigger. I think we got another Risen Reef there. So I was like, oh, there should be more there. So I got 4. Um, and then fetch, get a forest here. So I need to go down a life total. Play another Risen Reef. So I'll have 4 triggers there. And so I'm pretty sure as long as I get to, I'm trying to think here. Oh yeah, this is where I just Court of Calling 4. So this will be 1, 2, 3, and then 8. So I just go get Crater of Behemoth, and it's double trigger, so he just dies here. So this is why Elishnorn has been like nuts, because like that was a little turn, like the turn after I played Elishnorn, I won the game. Which like I already kind of was winning the game, but like that's the point. Like the speed of the clock increases. Like I also don't need as many creatures because Elishnorn with Crater of Behemoth doubles the trample effect. So like with you could have 5 creatures out, and then now everything gets +10/+10. So like there's huge advantages to the card as of right now. It's been it's been pretty wild. I don't know why I didn't think of it sooner. Um, so depends on how quick you can get it out there, depending on certain matchups. Again, the downfall to the deck is that you don't really interact, so you have to hope that the faster combo decks don't get there before you. So when you go into game 2, um, I do like the idea of having one Omnath and maybe one like green-red Surveil land. I like the idea of that, just to have. And I don't know about in the main. We can see I have a second. What's his name? I have a second endurance in the main. Words are hard again, as always. I have a second endurance in the main, so I don't know if maybe that could be it. But I also don't want to like reduce the or increase the amount of hits of not hitting Risen Reef, because I feel like Risen Reef is really what you want to hit when you're on Nissa, because majority of the time you make 3 mana off Nissa, so you can cast Risen Reef right afterwards. And I don't want to hit Omnath, so I feel like it would be more of a sideboard card when I'm trying to stabilize to like gain life. But it might not even be the answer, because that, to be honest, because it might be Omnath might be too slow as well for some of the aggro decks to like sustain. So the real answer might just be something like some Weather of the Storms or something against the aggro matchups, just to kind of sustain here. Ugh. Plus, Weather of the Storm kind of instantly is good against some of the storm decks. So like it's good. Whether the storm is, I didn't even think about this. This is actually funny. Whether the storm can be good against and breach and storm itself, because I mean they just go and cast a bunch of spells, and technically yes they can win with like Thassa's Oracle, but Elishnorn stops Thassa's Oracle. But if they don't win via Thassa's Oracle and they're doing like Grape Shot win, then with the Grape Shot win, you could cast Weather of the Storm after they've cast it, and you would gain a crap ton of more life than they could ever do to you. And then same thing for what's it called, Storm. If they don't Grape Shot you and they're like empty the Warrens, you could still, I mean, for you're gaining 1 extra life for every single dude that they have, so that they create, I guess technically. So it gains you a whole nother turn. to be able to go off. So right now this is not looking great. I mean, it could have been worth mulliganing when you're playing against Amulet to try to hit your cards, but like the way I look at it is that Ugh. Is that sometimes you can't, like, you just got to keep your best hand sometimes, hoping that your opponent doesn't have the literal nuts. But them turn one Urza Saga into Amulet is pretty good. So I am gonna give him credit. I don't know if he's learned from Austin, which is the other Amulet Titan player other than myself that plays. Um, I don't know if he's learned, but I will say he did. I mean, there's mistakes that he's made, and I think that's because of inexperience. But I do think he did a pretty decent job at piloting the deck. So I'll give that to him. Um, this is where we're in another really awkward hand here. What do we do? Oh, we're trying to maximize on play. So I was trying to maximize on what I'm going to do here. So I think this is where we go get the island. Um, just to try to maximize because I think I have with the Court of Calling. I was hoping to like play Nantuko. So like, okay, so if I play Nantuko here, play him. So technically he is worth more. So I did mess up. So I got to think about that in the long run. So Nantuko, I was thinking that like Wall of Root's technically worth 2 for Court of Calling. But if my opponent doesn't win here, which I think he does, if I remember correctly, but Nantuko, if I would have just played Nantuko, played fetch, then I would have got 3 creatures, which is worth more than, I would have had the Nantuko plus 2 1/1 tokens, so ultimately it's 3 mana worth towards my Court of Calling. So Nantuko on turn 2 with the fetch land to follow up is definitely better than playing the Wall of Roots. So that was a mistake on my part. Um, so this is the part where I wanted to confirm with him. So like usually you just win here, right? With 2 amulets, if your opponent doesn't have an interaction, you just win. But I wanted to make sure with him that he knew. I didn't want to insult his intelligence, and I told him this as well. I just wanted to make sure he understood how to do it, so there wasn't a mistake. I needed to hear from him verbally and for him to show me on how he was going to get to the point where he was going to kill me. So that's just me as like a respect for the player. I wanted him to be able to tell me how he was going to win and make sure he doesn't make a mistake because it's super important for him too as a player to grow and get better, which is only going to make him better. He needs to like people for me usually just scoop at this point because I have done this so much to them, like to certain people, that they understand that I understand how to get to the win. Like I know how to fast track through it. And I'll even reveal my hand at a certain point to show them that like, hey, I don't have pieces in my hand that will to make me not lose or whatever the case is. Or I know how to like go get the right amount of cards to go get an arboreal grazer or a dryad, so I can play the lands out of my hand as well for that. So like there was a point here where he was like, hey, I'm just gonna sack the Handwire Battlements, and I'm just like, okay, well I need to know how are you gonna sack Handwire Battlements because you can mess up here, and he needed to be able to sack the Handwire Battlements to be able to get it back. So this is where he was kind of skipping stuff. So I was like trying to show him like, okay, he has the bounce. That happens. Before he can transmute this, he has to sack all the lands and then spin the mana. Here for he gets pack, and then I think the right one is Aftermath Analyst. So, so let's see. If I would have played Springheart Nantuko, see, I think this is the other misplay. Let's see. If I played Springheart Nantuko, that would be 1, 2, 3, 1. So I can only get a 1 mana creature, or I can't get anything right now. But I could at least get a 1 mana creature. So crazy enough, is that he didn't have the win until he milled he had instant enchantment land. Yeah, he didn't have a way technically to get delirium, I don't think. Oh no, once he sacks the creature, he can do it. So so this is where he's basically just explaining to me he can make all the mana, uh, go get sack everything, transmute, um, he bounces all of that, then transmutes the land, so that he knows the line. He a part of doing this, he made a so he also made another copy of Amulet Titan, which is going to get him the the Amulet Titan, which is going to get him the whatchamacallit land, the Delirium land. And now that he has Delirium and he has the mana, he can just use the mana to activate Aftermath Analyst, and then in the course of doing it, basically he can sack the Hanwar battlements every single time, and then now give all of his Titans haste. So, which I still don't even know if I'm dead. I guess they have trample 6, 12, 18, 24. I can block 3, 4 of it. So yeah, I'm still dead. So, but he could just make infinite Titans, infinite haste at that point. Because he can keep bringing back, make a copy, go get lands, um, and with the Aftermath Analyst loop, just, infinite Titans, infinite hasters. And I think this is where a judge walked over and he was just like, he's like, oh, I thought you were like just being a dick, trying to, make him go through the lines. And I said, no, I wasn't forcing him to go through the lines. I was forcing him to explain to me how he was going to win, because, I'm not just going to concede if he doesn't understand it. If he understands it, then after that point, once I know he understands it and he knew the lines and figured out how to get there, then I'm going to give him the respect, right? If he plays 2 amulets on turns 2 and then casts Amulet Titan and I don't have, or cast Primeval Titan and I don't have a response, I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna scoop, because now I know that you have the knowledge. You're not just someone just playing the deck that thinks that people will scoop. Like, you gotta sometimes make them have it. So I think this hand has, man. See, like, again, like, look at that hand. Like, I don't know. That looked like a grazer, and I I, I think he just got kind of greedy there. Like, he just wanted a fast hand. I mean, I'm perfectly okay with this hand just because of the fact that the Nantuko Spring Heart is gonna try to get me there to is gonna try to get me there to, and I have the Force of Vigor with another Chord of Calling, worst case scenario. But Springheart and between that slowing them down, and then Springheart and Nantuko getting me to my Chord of Calling to get Elish Norn, and then hopefully just take over the game. So, and he mulligans again. I don't know. The one hand was good. I thought the one hand was good. He had the Pact. He had uh, uh, a Mumble is what we've been calling it, Malevolent Rumble. I like Mumble. It's a pretty fun name for it. So um, let's skip to where we can get this game going. I think he goes down to 4 here. That's just rough. I mean, why was this? I guess because he has Spelunking and a Green Sun Zenith? I mean, the hand with the Mumble was where it was at, so with him going down to 4, I was just like, yep, we're good. So, Green Sun gets an Arbor Elf. I'm just like, I could attack and see if he'll trade. Might be possible. And with him having such a slow start, I think this is where I actually do that, because I don't think he's going to trade with me, because he needs to be able to be on 3 lands, and I'd be perfectly okay with him doing that. So So okay, so this is actually I remember this. I remember this. This was like the worst thing for me to see. So I surveil, and the card that is on top of my deck. So imagine if I played a fetch land here instead, but the card that is on top of my deck is Elishnorn. So which means I can't go Court of Calling for her. So I have to get to 5 mana. So I have to find a way for me to get to 5 mana, and this hand currently does not do that efficiently. Does not get me the 5 mana efficiently. And you'll see there's probably a mistake that I make at some point, but I think I was supposed to use a Court of Calling to go get a Nissa. I think here after I did this, I was supposed to get a Nissa. There's a cool interaction that you can where you can put Springheart and Antuco on your Arbor Elf to basically like get 2 landfall triggers. Because land comes in, you can pay 2 mana, make a copy of it, get another land to come in, and then triggers. So if you have a single land, you can put an Antuco on if you have just like a basic land in hand, you can put a Spring Heart on a Arbor Elf to get your second landfall trigger for like Nissa or something. So this is where I was confused on how he got everything, how he got all of his mana and everything, but he has a mana floating currently from the has a mana floating from tapping the Beseiju, and has a colorless the colorless creature, the Eldrazi spawn. So this is where I was doing math. So if I fetch here, I'll be at 1 plus 3, so I can get a 1 drop if I wanted to be efficient. Or I could wait till next turn and try to get the Nissa at that point, and then I have to wait a whole another turn. And I didn't think it was correct. Based on what I would draw, I had really high odds. If I draw a land here, then I can cast Elishnorn. So, so what I do is here is I fetch, get a basic. I'm pretty sure, and then I go get an Arboreal Grazer to put the last land into my hand. So thought process is if I draw a single land, then I can just cast Elishnorn, because right now at the end of his turn I'll be at 4 mana. So me drawing a single land lets me put Elishnorn into play and help maintain the game, which unfortunately wasn't the case. So that's at 2. I put a land into play. That'll go up to 3, and then I will untap. And we draw the second worst card, which I mentioned this before. I think I literally mentioned this at the beginning of this video. Is the second worst card that you could possibly draw on this deck is your Crater of Behemoth, unless it's like in the late game when you can make a bunch of mana. But I just drew the worst 2 cards, and like I mean, like I could possibly cast a Crater Hoof or go Chord for a Crater Hoof here too. I mean, I would have been at I have 1, 2, 3, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I couldn't get Crater of Behemoth, I guess. So, but not drawing a land was bad. So I know he has Beseiju, 2 unknowns, and so this is where I'm like, okay, I guess I have to pass. And depending on what he does, I'm gonna have to either Chord for probably an Endurance to stop um, the Aftermath Analyst, or I'm going to go, value courting here at the end of turn. So this is where I had to make a decision. So it was he is green sunning for 7, and I could pitch the Crater Hoof Behemoth. With how many creatures I have, I'm like really close to just like winning the game with Crater Hoof Behemoth. So I was like, I don't think I can pitch and then go chord for calling for something. So I think I just let him get his value and really hope that I draw a land next turn. Because I'll easily be able to stabilize. Elshorn actually blocks Titan pretty well unless they can make him bigger, and I can make tokens in response. So I just hard cast my Force of Vigor here, and yeah, just hope for the best. So I mean, nothing he's gonna get comes into play untapped. So um, we'll kind of see what he gets. I mean, at most he could play what's it called, a bounce land beside you. Um, but or he could get two crumbling vestiges to cast beside you as well. So, but yeah, I mean with the mana, it makes sense for him to get this because if he plays, that's 1, 2, 3, 4. So if he plays an untapped land, he can make a copy of Titan next turn. So while also getting his Urza Saga online, so that I would think is pretty reasonable fetch for lands. And we draw land. I was like, when I drew land, I was like, all right, we have a game here. So that happens. I get a token, um, and then we cast Elishnorn, and now we're doing good. So now it's 1, 2, 3, 4. So I can um, chord for 4. So not good enough yet. So I'm just gonna leave it to chord for. So my thought process here is leave it to chord for endurance for whatever reason if he can go off here. So I think he just plays the Beseiju, makes a copy of Titan. I mean, which makes sense. I mean, they're value Titans. Like I mean, making 6/6s and stuff is not bad. If you would have got land off of it, would have been good. But I mean, he's um, if he would have got lands off of it, it'd have been a lot better. But not being able to get it. But he does get the lands off the attack, so which is good. So this was smart. He did ask me this, and I was thinking that I was like, oh, Lotus Field, uh, it's whatever. He has to sack, and then I was like, oh wait, he doesn't have to sack because of Elishnorn. So, and then I realized like, okay, I'm gonna block. I mean, you have no way of pumping this, so I'm gonna block and do it with two tokens. I'm not worried about you getting any value off the Aftermath Analyst. So. So this is what we're trying to determine. I'm trying to determine if I need to get anything here, and I don't think so. I think the goal is here is depending on what they have next turn. If I draw a fetch land, I can go get Nissa. Nissa gets Risen Reef, and then we can kind of start going to town. Is their goal. So we trade two tokens for a Titan, which is best case scenario. So do that, draw, and we draw a fetch land, which is what we want to do. So is that what I wanted to do? It probably wasn't. Huh? Why'd I do that? I think this is where I told myself like, oh no, I don't need to do that. I don't think I was supposed to play that land. Why would I? Huh? Maybe I was supposed to. I don't know. That's weird. I feel like I was supposed to get. I had the fetch land. I was supposed to. If I did 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, I get Nissa, play land, double triggers. I mean, I probably almost could have casted Craterhoof Behemoth. Let's see if I did one, 1, 2, 3, and then 1, 2, 3. Then I'd have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I only have 7 mana if I would have gotten Nissa. If I tap another creature, if I tap another 2/2, yeah, I probably could have just won there. Yeah, see, I mean that's the thing, like understanding that like this. So I could have gotten Nissa if I would have tapped the 2 creatures, the green creatures, and then Tuco and the Arbor Elf, and then 2 of the tokens and 3 of my lands, and then I could have made uh 8. Basically, end up having afterwards. I'd have 8 mana to once I get the Nissa to cast Greater Hoof Behemoth and just win the game. So I just get the double up. So this is where he just attacks me with 2 more. He gets the Amulet. So even with the Amulet out, it doesn't really do much. So no matter what he does, I guess he's just getting more Urza Sagas. And so he attacks me again. Last turn, oh yeah, I did end up taking 6. I'm pretty sure I had 2, and then I took 6 going to 12. And then they have Trample. I traded for the Shifting Woodland one, and then took 6 again going to 6. So I probably was just being safe with the Court of Calling just to make sure I didn't lose. So this is 1, 2, 3. Oh, well, yeah, 3. Yep, duh. Then we pass turn, draw. I fetch, lose 1, go to 5. Trigger that twice. I get to trigger the Nissa twice. So, and so this is where I messed up. I realized I got the Nissa, so I put those cards on top as a mistake because I wouldn't have revealed them. I would have just revealed Nissa, shuffled it back in, and then revealed the Nissa, put the rest on bottom because I accidentally dug too far. So I have 2 extra mana, so that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So that's 8 mana. So wanted to make sure I had the kill. So Crater Hoof Behemoth, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, plus that's 10. So everything's gonna get plus 20 in trample. So that's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10. Yeah, I mean that's negative. Here, let's just give him the old negative. I don't know if I can even go that far. I'm pretty sure he had only like 8 defense, and I had 80 plus 60. Let's. I mean, I didn't think it was going to be able to go that far. I think it stops at like 99 probably. I don't think it can go to triple digits. Oh, it does! Ah! He would have probably been around negative 120 there after that attack. So I'm just going to do that. So, so yeah, as you can see, loving the deck. It's been great, been fantabulous. Watching it do its thing. There, I think Elishorn was a great factor. I just got to figure out how to deal with the aggro, and I think throwing in the March of the Otherworldly Lights and some other cards are going to be able to help with that.